In today's video, we have a coastal storm that is taking place overnight tonight into tomorrow that is going to cause major flooding, likely across states like South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia, possibly beyond those states as well. We also have another coastal storm and cold front set up just like this one that we're watching in the short to medium range that is also going to bring the threat of thunderstorms, severe weather, and flooding once more, among other storms, including some potential eastern snowfall that we need to go over today. Let's dive into things, and as we take a look at overnight tonight, what we see is a low forms by tomorrow afternoon offshore of southeast North Carolina, and this is going to be causing some storminess up and down the east coast, but in particular, we're watching this North Carolina through Delmarva corridor here for the potential of 3 inches plus of rainfall, which obviously on top of the enormous amount of rainfall that this area has seen this month of March is going to cause a lot of issues. In Southeast Virginia, my personal data that I collect, I'm a super weather nerd beyond even what you guys know. I collect weather data and I have for years now. We've had over 7 inches of rainfall before this storm even moves in for the month of March, and we might even push towards 10 inches plus, which will put at least Southeast Virginia in for the potential rainiest March of all time. And I think that a lot of other areas likely are in the same boat. So a very, very rainy March it has been. Let's go ahead and dive towards Friday. And by Friday afternoon, all of this is going to be said and done, and these areas are going to be dry, but rather cool as we have a trough here, especially here in Pennsylvania, New York, even New England there. It's going to be a cooler day for Friday the 29th there. Saturday on the 30th, we do get a little bit of a storm system, a little bit more minor this time around for the Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic. This isn't a coastal storm really, it just kind of moves through these areas, and we get a second storm by Sunday into Monday that's going to be Easter into April 1st. We get another storm kind of similar, weaker, just causing some rainfall for that Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic area, and it ends pretty innocently there. It's not until we get this major low around Monday, Tuesday timeframe over southern Missouri where we have a cold front set up underneath, warm front out ahead, and this could have some severe weather implications starting out in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, likely to extend east of that. Let's see what happens by Tuesday afternoon. And what we see is our primary low is located over northern Virginia. We have this cold front kind of stretching back. Some thunderstorm and severe weather possibilities lie within this area for Tuesday the 2nd. And we even have some snowfall here for the Adirondacks into the New England area. Very, very interesting. By Wednesday on April 3rd here, we have a 987 offshore of Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and this is bringing moderate to heavy snowfall for the mountainous areas of New York and through northern New England. So keep that in mind. Snowfall in the east appears to be likely for the midpoint of next week. We do see heavier rainfall again for Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. There's even a secondary low over South Carolina, which is likely to be helping even more storminess build in for this more southern area. Keep in mind this will be the month of April. Obviously, the weather doesn't really care about what month it is, but that will not happen in March. So whatever rainfall you've seen in March, we're going to be obviously starting over on April 1st as far as monthly rainfall is concerned. So as far as any records being broken, it has to happen with this upcoming storm and then a couple of those minor ones for some areas. But April looks to start out very rainy already, as you can see for the southeast. And by the time we reach Thursday, that one will be pretty much said and done. We do have a 981 offshore of New England with some light to moderate snowfall still for these mountainous areas, but that is coming to an end. And by the 5th, what we see is another low building over eastern Colorado, very strong this time around. And we have warmth surging to the north here out east of that low and cold air diving to the west of it there. And this is the ingredients that are necessary for a severe weather event to take place. So we're likely to see that eventually start up. And it's going to be after this point, which happens to be the end of this model run. So we can't see beyond this. But we do have a 996 over Nebraska. I do anticipate a cold front to develop underneath it. And likely this would be your severe weather corridor. So another cold front and severe weather event likely with this system. We can see that the warm front already has precipitation along it here to the north, and this is that boundary where that warm air is trying to move northward. We see rainfall on the southern end, snowfall there on the northern end, and it's a pretty interesting storm. The GFS model, let's just move through it. We will get to see kind of that storm. Here's your second cold front event right there for the second, third time frame. We get a little bit more of a major snowstorm for New England on this particular model with a 977 millibar low pressure center offshore of the coast of Maine. And this is bringing a little bit more widespread and a little bit heavier snowfall than what the European model showed. But we'll take a look at the total snowfall later on. It's not too different, I will say. As we keep going, though, we do see this stronger low trying to take place over the plains. The only difference is a little bit lagged behind, and it moves northward from this point. Whereas the European model, which I'll draw in yellow here, wants to take it much further east like this. So there's a big difference in what the trajectory of this low is according to these models. And this would have obviously major implications. Regardless, this storm does move up into Canada. We develop a cold front, and this would bring thunderstorm potential and severe weather potential to the plains and the Midwest there of the states. Now, as we take a look at Wednesday on April 10th, another interesting storm, 994 over Indiana, cold front extending out ahead of it, and we get a general area of storminess due to this. And this would bring more rainfall and more thunderstorm possibilities, obviously. Eventually, that one moves out too, and then we're left with a quieter pattern finally by the 12th, where there's basically nothing going on. Keep in mind, this is exactly 15 days out and likely will look different than this. Let's go ahead and take a look at the total precipitation, and what you can see is that there's a lot along the western seaboard, a lot along the Rockies and northern plains here, and then plenty for these areas here across the Ohio Valley and up and down the eastern seaboard here, kind of interacting there over the mid-Atlantic, and we get a lot for this area here due to these two storm tracks moving over this area. Regardless, all of these areas kind of here, we're dealing with above average precipitation. Total snowfall on the European model, everything is going to look the same out west, and for the northern plains, we do expect a bit of snowfall there. Both models agree on that. It's this northeast area I want you to really pay attention to. For this one, we see the Adirondacks, Green Mountains, White Mountains, and northern Maine, and really the whole of Maine here, in the 1 to 2 foot category for snowfall. When we switch over to that GFS model, we do see the similar areas seeing snowfall. The only difference here is we're seeing 1 foot, 2 foot, and maybe even 3 or 4 feet on this model. I think this is a little overblown for New Hampshire and Maine for sure. I would refer back to this European model as probably the more likely outcome. 1 to maybe 2 feet for very high elevation areas. Over the course of 10 days, it's going to come during multiple snow events. Still an impressive amount, especially considering most of that comes in April. Now, as we take a look at the temperature pattern, we can see these progressive warm-ups, which we're under one right now along the east. And then the cold air diving in around it. We do have severe weather today for the southeast, mostly in Georgia and South Carolina, as well as maybe southern North Carolina, as well as Florida there. And that is because of this cold front that is setting up along these very warm anomalies. This is a good setup for severe weather, and we end up seeing that happening. Cold air eventually moves in, as you can see, but we have another warm surge already by the time we're taking a look at later on this weekend. This is Saturday on the 30th. We see warm air surging across the plains and the kind of Ohio Valley area. And then what we're going to see is another swinging cold front come through right here for kind of the early to midweek point. This is Tuesday on the 2nd, Wednesday on the 3rd, and we see it's already reached the eastern seaboard. Another warm-up moves in, but we already have another cold front setting up in this area where this cold air is going to want to move in to where this warmth is. So we see about 3 of these major cold front events where we have these anomalous warm temperatures there to the east of these storms, and then we see colder air moving in right behind it just like this. And honestly, I expect multiple severe weather events over the next 10 to 15 days because of these massive temperature swings with these strong lows moving across the nation. Anyway, we're going to be tracking all of this, so be sure to subscribe as we do upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.